Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, while Bitcoin is still playing out the short-term bullish divergence, we're now seeing more liquidity building just below the price of Bitcoin in the immediate short term, which is a warning signal that we now need to pay attention to for Bitcoin moving forward, while Solana is still currently bouncing from this significant area on the price chart, alongside XRP also still holding this very important area of support. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. But on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have a massive bearish divergence, which has already been playing out over the last couple of months. Basically from July onwards, this has been active on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, as I've been saying pretty much every day since back in July, months ago now. And of course, the last bearish divergence we saw play out on the weekly time frame resulted in a multi-month pullback, basically a larger cool off, a larger setback, but still during the much larger bull market. So keep that in mind. Once again, still currently playing out here on the weekly time frame. And if we're taking a look at the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, we're still picking up a bit of bearish momentum, as we can see here in the 3-day Bitcoin MACD. But with that being said, at least as of right now, we're not really seeing a significant amount of momentum. Clearly, pretty much no bullish momentum, but we're still not really seeing significant bearish momentum, just some bearish momentum, but it could be worse. And if we're taking a look at key support and resistance to watch out for, looking at the daily time frame, we have very important support here based on these lows and based on this Fibonacci area, sitting in between around 106.7k to 107.6k. So at give or take 107,000, basically 107, 108k, around there we have a lot of important support for the price. And obviously if the price breaks below that area, breaks below especially 107,000 with confirmation, obviously not only will be breaking below this area right here, would also be breaking below a previous low in the price, forming a new lower low, which would be bearish price structure. But obviously for now, that's not happened. So this is still support to pay attention to. And as for resistance, expect some resistance at around 110.5k. So around 110,000, 111,000 in that area. Expect resistance, and expect more resistance at around 113,500, a little bit more resistance at 114,500, and major resistance at give or take 117,000. And if we're zooming into the shorter term, taking a look at the 4-hour Bitcoin price chart, as I've already been talking about over the last 2 days now, we technically have a new bullish divergence, which is technically active and already playing out here on the 4-hour Bitcoin price chart, as we do have clear lower lows in the price while also confirming higher lows in the 4-hour Bitcoin RSI. But it is important to understand that a bullish divergence by itself does not always result in a massive bullish trend reversal. Of course, sometimes it occurs around the reversal point for a trend, but not all the time. Other times we see bullish divergences play out here on the 4-hour time frame, maybe just over a couple of days, or this one, for example, played out just less than a day. And so just keep that in mind. Don't expect a major bullish move based on this alone. In fact, what is much more likely is basically the price action we've already been seeing over the last 1 to 2 days, which is of course what we've been expecting here on the channel. If you watched my last 1 to 2 videos here on the channel, I pretty much talked about how we should be expecting this exact price action that we're seeing right now, because usually after a very volatile move in the price of Bitcoin, oftentimes at very least the next 1 or 2 days following that move, we see the price kind of stabilize a little bit, form some choppy sideways price action, but kind of lacking volatility just in the next couple of days following a very volatile move. So obviously that's exactly played out as expected, and this could likely continue maybe for another day, maybe a couple of days, just that sort of time frame, talking about the immediate short term here. And so overall, that's my prediction right now for the price of Bitcoin, basically the same sort of price action that we've seen over the last 1 to 2 days. But we do have to keep in mind a possible warning signal, which is continuing to build in the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, which is of course this liquidity building below the price of Bitcoin at just above 108,000, really in between 108.1k to 108.5k. So right around here, we still have a lot of liquidity, which is actually continuing to build in that Bitcoin liquidation heat map. And in case you're new to all of this, usually, not always, but usually the price of Bitcoin tends to move towards where we have a lot of liquidity, especially if that liquidity is relatively close to the current price of Bitcoin. So we saw that right here and right here over the last few days or so, over the last 1 week or so, obviously wiping out some long positions with these drops towards the downside. And so just simply be aware of this liquidity sitting at that level. Once again, it is quite likely that maybe in the next couple of days, not necessarily right this moment, but maybe in 2 days from now, for example, 3 days from now, it's likely that we could end up seeing maybe one little dip like that to at least take out that liquidity. So just keep that in mind. Once again, not guaranteed, but quite likely. But in the meantime, as I've been saying over the last couple of days, in the immediate short term, honestly expect price action kind of like this as a very likely scenario, and obviously has already been playing out as expected over the last couple of days. And of course, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And personally, I take a lot of my crypto trades over on Bitfinex, so I'll make sure to leave a link to Bitfinex below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page out here where you can claim massive trading and deposit bonuses. For example, you can claim up to 120,000 USDT in a major prize pool here just simply by trading crypto using that link. And there's also deposit bonuses here. For example, if you deposit as little as $100, you get a $20 bonus, or if you deposit $1,000, you get a $200 bonus into your Bitfinex account. Essentially free money from the exchange, which you can use to actually trade over on Bitfinex, but only if you're using that link. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check it out. Once again, first link below this video. And in case you're wondering, Bitfinex is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want Bitfinex as an exchange, there's also 2bit as another exchange out there that I also use. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can also claim massive trading and deposit bonuses. For example, if you simply just deposit and trade crypto, you can get up to 10,000 USDT in trial fund bonuses and 8,000 USDT in actual withdrawable stable coins just by depositing and trading crypto using that link. And also without making any deposit or any trade, just by simply making an account using the link below this video to 2bit, you get a free $30 sign up bonus and 1 month free VIP 3 upgrade on your 2bit account. So basically very cheap trading fees on 2bit, but only if you use that link. So once again, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check it out. Second link below this video to 2bit, first link below the video to Bitfinex. And in case you're wondering, yes, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart here on the 3-day time frame, and technically speaking, this short-term bullish divergence is still currently active on the 3-day Bitcoin dominance price chart. And so overall, expect a little bit of a relief here in the Bitcoin dominance after obviously that major drop off over the last couple of months in the Bitcoin dominance, which means at least in the short term, while this short-term bullish divergence is playing out in the Bitcoin dominance, especially if we continue to see a little bit of a bullish relief in the Bitcoin dominance in the coming days or weeks, essentially that means a lot of altcoins, not necessarily every altcoin, some altcoins can be outliers, but a lot of altcoins will likely be underperforming Bitcoin. And to now keep in mind, a bullish divergence by itself does not always result in a significant bullish move, so it's unlikely we'll see a major move towards the upside again in the Bitcoin dominance based on this alone. What is much more likely is price action kind of like this, which means altcoins may be slightly underperforming Bitcoin, not necessarily having major moves down against Bitcoin in that example. But either way, honestly, just don't really expect a massive altcoin season anytime within the next 1 or 2 weeks is a very likely scenario. It's likely that altcoins are either going to perform similar or slightly worse than Bitcoin on average. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, right now Ethereum is still running into this very important area of support, still sitting in between around 3.9k to 4.1k. And of course, we still have significant resistance all the way up here at around 4.8k to 4.9k. And as I've said many times recently here on the channel, if the price actually confirms at least a daily candle close, but especially a 3-day or weekly candle close below 3.9k, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, obviously that would not be good news at all for Ethereum, and in that situation would likely at least see a drop down towards around 3.4k, possibly much lower, but 3.4k would be the next major price target towards the downside if we first confirm a break below 3.9k, and especially if we fail to get back above that area. I want to make it clear, at least for now, we've not yet confirmed a break below that area. So for now, this is still the support to pay attention to, once again in between 3.9k to 4.1k. And if we're taking a look at the somewhat shorter term here on the 8-hour time frame, obviously we still have resistance in this area based on previous support flipping into new resistance, as we've just seen over the last few days or so, and that's sitting in between around 40.60 to 4.1k. So just under 4.1k, expect a lot of resistance around here. And if the price can actually break out back above that area with at least an 8-hour candle close, ideally a daily candle close back above 4.1k, obviously that'll be very good news in the short term, especially if we hold that area. Then in that situation would likely see a move at least back above 4.2k, likely towards around 42.50, give or take, as the next major point of resistance to watch out for. But in the immediate short term, I don't really expect significant momentum to either direction. I do expect the price to somewhat stabilize a little bit, at least over the next one day. Obviously in a week from now, that's a totally different story, but just over the next one day, expect the price to somewhat stabilize a little bit. And obviously also pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing. If Bitcoin's continuing to play out this little bullish divergence here with maybe a slight bullish relief like this, expect something somewhat similar for Ethereum and a lot of altcoins. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, obviously Solana is pretty much perfectly bouncing from my exact area of support here, sitting in between around 190 to 200. So continue to expect a lot of support in this area, as I've already been saying since before we hit that area. And if the price ultimately continues to bounce here, obviously that'll be very good news, because this is a crucial area for the price to hold above. And in that situation, expect some resistance at around 215 to 216, give or take, and major resistance at around 230. And if we're taking a look at the shorter term on the 12-hour time frame, obviously this bearish divergence has not yet properly been invalidated, so it can technically still play out. But with that being said, and as I've already been saying over the last 2 days now here on the channel, we did hit oversold, well oversold here on the 12-hour Solana RSI. And so like I actually said here on the channel, right down here at the low, I said it's quite likely now that the price is going to have a little bit of a bounce, a bit of a relief, a break from all of the bearish price action to simply reset the RSI out of those oversold territories. So obviously that's already playing out, as I said, over the last 2 days. And once again, as I always say, pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing to figure out what is likely going to happen for a lot of altcoins. So if Bitcoin kind of just has a bit of a relief, a bit of a break from all of the bearish price action, that can also help a lot of altcoins play out a bit of a short-term relief, maybe some sort of bounce here, not necessarily massive bullish momentum straight away back towards the upside, but some sort of bounce is quite likely, especially from these oversold levels that we were at just a couple of days ago. And so expect this sort of price action to continue just in the short term here. A little bit more of a relief is a very likely scenario, but not necessarily gaining significant momentum back towards the upside straight away. But if we're taking a look at XRP here on the weekly time frame, technically we still have a massive bearish divergence to watch out for, technically still active and still influencing the price on the larger time frames here. And if we're taking a look at the somewhat shorter term on the daily time frame, we're still kind of in a bit of a sideways price range, as we can see, between important support and important resistance. Obviously the price has been respecting these areas very nicely over the last couple of months now, as we can see, and so continue to expect a lot of support in this area in between around $2.70 to $2.80, and a lot of resistance in between $3.10 to $3.15, and of course more resistance up here at around 330 to 335. And so considering the fact that XRP is still within this range right here and only just running into this significant support at the same time as Bitcoin and other altcoins are playing out these slight reliefs, it's very likely that XRP is going to continue some sort of bounce or some sort of slight little relief like this, a bit of a break from all of the bearish price action, as a very likely scenario over the next couple of days here, just in the immediate short term. And so that's essentially what I predict for XRP and honestly a lot of crypto right now in the immediate short term. And if we're taking a look at Chainlink on the daily time frame, it's a somewhat similar situation for Chainlink, but technically Chainlink is already within larger bearish price structure forming clear lower highs and lower lows on the price chart. And obviously we broke below a very important Fibonacci level here based on this low, and of course based on really the Fibonacci retracement from this swing low to swing high. And of course that level that was a crucial level on the price chart was at approximately $22, really just above $22. And so I'd now expect that to become new resistance if the price continues a bit more of a bounce here. Once again, expect resistance really in between $22 to around $22.30. And as I've been saying since before we hit this area of support, expect a lot of support and likely bounces from this area in between around $19 to $20. And obviously that's exactly what we saw over the last couple of days. As soon as we dipped below $20 into the area of support that I've been talking about, that's exactly where the price bounced from. So continue to expect support in that area, once again in between $19 to $20. And like I've been saying throughout the video, expect similar price action for Chainlink as what I've been saying for Bitcoin and other altcoins like this. So that means it's quite likely we're going to play out just a slight little relief, maybe a little bit of a bounce here in the short term, not necessarily significant bullish momentum all the way towards the upside like this, but just basically a slight bullish relief or maybe some choppy sideways price action, a bit of a break or a bit of a relief from all of the bearish price action, but still within larger bearish price structure. So keep that in mind, understand the difference between the shorter term and the bigger picture. And once again, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, get set up, ready to go using those links below this video to those exchanges. If you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.